There are so many opinions out there surrounding different guitarists. You can find an editorial calling basically any guitarist overrated or underrated, no matter how legendary they are or how impactful their career has been. But in all my surfing, I don't think I've ever seen a guitar player be called overrated more than Slash. And now, at this point in time, I actually think there's an argument that Slash has become underrated because of how much he's been called overrated. The pendulum has completely swung the other way. Now, is Slash the most technically sound player that is known for his accuracy, speed, and overall skill on the instrument? Absolutely not. But I don't think that takes away from his legacy as much as the rest of the guitar community seems to think. It seems like the narrative is that he's a sloppy player that lacks the technique of adjacent players like Steve Vai or Joe Satriani. And while that's true, that Slash clearly is not on the level of them in terms of speed, he certainly surpasses them in terms of a different kind of technique, which is playing these long, slow, expressive notes, which factor into his phrasing, the voice and emotion of his guitar playing, which at the end of the day is essentially what guitar playing is all about. Not to mention his impact and influence on the instrument, which is among the biggest ever. There's no telling how many people picked up the guitar because of him, and he's written some of the greatest guitar riffs of all time. Sweet Child of Mine, Paradise City, Welcome to the Jungle, these are all instantly recognizable and are standouts even in the guitar world. Perhaps Sweet Child of Mine is so popular that it's almost been held against him in a way. But this is no reason to discount a guitarist and what they've done. If that were the case, Jimmy Page would be viewed in the same way, but instead he's viewed as one of the greatest of all time, and a lot of that is due to his riffs and guitar work that he was able to produce over his career. And later on in his career, Jimmy Page is one of the sloppiest live players you'll see. So it's interesting that Jimmy Page gets this treatment when Slash is also famous for his riffs, and is viewed as a non-technical player and perhaps a bit sloppy. And one of them is referred to among the greatest of the greats, and the other is consistently called overrated and looked down on by the guitar community. Not to take anything away from Jimmy Page, because he absolutely deserves to be mentioned among the greatest of all time. So do I think Slash deserves to be in that greatest of all time conversation? Not necessarily. I think that's reserved for people like Jimi Hendrix and Jimmy Page and Eric Clapton and Eddie Van Halen. But there's a reason you hear Sweet Child of Mine in Guitar Center all the time. There's a reason Welcome to the Jungle is played at football games. And there's a reason that most people know right away that Slash is the guitarist of Guns N' Roses. Because he's great and he writes great guitar music. And for him to get called overrated all the time, and for Rolling Stone to rank him at 65 in their top 250 guitarists is a crazy understatement for all he's brought to the guitar world. So I think that if people can get past this Sweet Child of Mine, cover to his career book, so to say, and got really deep into his live solos and live work, that they'd be really surprised and would be rather impressed with what they found. Because at his best, he really can play with anyone, and contrary to today's popular belief, you'll find that he deserves to be mentioned among the greats.